Hi, this is Bob Papa, voice of the New York Football Giants, and this is the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. Go get 'em, guys.
Welcome back, Giants fans, to the latest edition of the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast. As always, in association with Andy's Man Club. Remember, lads, it's okay to talk. This time, as you can see, there is only two of us. We are 100% British, but as always, we are still 100% Giants. Myself and Craig are back from our summer break. However, Kev and Shane are having an extended break. Have you missed us? We've missed being on, so you must have missed us. Kev's working tonight, unfortunately, and Shane is living it up at the Euros in Germany, coming home. Is it? Who knows? I'm joined by producer Craig to go through all the big stories from the past 3 weeks as we're rolling very quickly towards training camp. How you doing, mate? A little bit less muddy?
Yeah, it's nice to be back. It's been an eventful 2 weeks. I don't feel like I've had a break, I'm going to be honest with you. However, there seems to have been loads that's happened in the time we've been away, so there's plenty to get into. I don't know, it was weird. It was kind of weird gearing up for tonight just because it's been so long. I wasn't quite sure how I'd feel. But the second that intro sort of kicked in, I was like, right, game time, isn't it? So, it just kind of G's you back up. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It could be a shorter one just because it's only us two, So we kind of need those comments flying through and people getting involved. But, it's really good to be back.
It is good to be back. It's good to be back in a clean, dry environment. Obviously, we were both at Download at the weekend, and as epic as it was, yes, we are looking fresh from Download. Thanks, Salty. Evening. As epic as it was, the mud was next level. So it's nice to have some clean clothes, and not that we didn't have a shower or anything, but yeah, it's nice to be back in the dry and not in a cesspool of mud. We're looking forward to tonight, getting the teeth into the big news stories that have come out over the last 3 weeks. I only said to you the other day, it sort of feels like weird not having this. It's almost like sort of withdrawal from not being on for the last 3 weeks. So it is good to get back on. And like Craig said, get those comments coming in, get all those thoughts and questions in, and we'll do our best to answer them throughout. We love the interaction with you guys, so get them in when you can. As Craig said, a shorter episode than usual potentially. Because it is only the two of us, and we are only going through. I say only going through. There's been plenty that's happened, but we're going to be just rolling through the news of what's happened over the last 3 weeks. And don't forget to check out all our socials. Give us a follow in the links in the description, and feel free to give this video a big thumbs up if you are watching. But yeah, plenty has happened whilst we've been away. We'll try and go through it in chronological order with the oldest news up first.
So just before we do that, just one thing we have failed to mention is the fact that we are currently not live on Facebook as Facebook have changed their parameters. However, we are live on Twitch. So if anybody uses Twitch and prefers Twitch to YouTube, then please do go on there, give us a follow on there, get involved, give it a share. It's a bit of a new thing. Not sure how that's going to go. Be interesting to see how the comments work and how it kind of mixes between the two. But yeah, anybody who's got Twitch, feel free to give us a follow on there. Big Blue UK and Ireland, very easy to find.
There we go. It'd be uncharted territory for us going into Twitch as well, so it'd be good to see how that goes.
Real streamers now.
Yeah, fantastic. We're on Twitch. We must be real. But yeah, there's plenty of news stories to roll through this evening. Craig, go up first, mate. What's coming first? Might as well crack on.
Yeah, we might as well. So as Dan said, chronological order in a weird way, kind of. We've kind of merged a few things. So there we go. Maybe Keith. I mean, only fans could be. We have threatened Kev with it a few times, so you never know.
Not going to happen. Not a chance.
No one's paying for that. We'd have to pay them. Right. Yes. Let's get into news. Giants 100 and Night with Legends is on tomorrow night as the Giants kind of kick off the first of the big events from their 100th season celebrations. And that A Night with Legends event is in the theatre at Madison Square Garden. The evening will consist of the event will consist of an evening with Joe Shane, John Mara, multiple players and coaches from the greatest Giants team, including Eli Manning, Tom Coughlin, Bill Parcells, Harry Carson, Carl Banks. I think Michael Strahan was announced today, and there will obviously be more. Plus, you will have members of the 2024 roster. Art Stapleton revealed a couple of interesting things yesterday. Now, the Giants had permission from the Pro Football Hall of Fame to loan all 22 busts of the Giants Hall of Famers and that they would be on display at MSG. And then he also mentioned that there would be a little teaser for the off-season Hard Knocks show that I really, really hope comes to YouTube or Twitter or something, or someone reports it, because I want to see that. Very intrigued as to how this Hard Knocks thing is going to roll around.
Yeah, I mean, there's Hard Knocks are going all out this year, aren't they? They got the in season with the entire AFC North as well.
Yeah, and then the off season,
not just one team.
Yeah, if you think it's like they've got us, they've got the Bears. The Bears are doing the standardized one for Hard Knocks, and then as you said, they've then got the in-season AFC North with the Ravens, Bengals, Browns, and Steelers. So plenty of I don't know about you. I mean, we're going to take this off the rails a little bit here, but I don't know about you. But any kind of documentary series regarding the NFL just as exciting. I don't know if you've seen it, but they've released the trailer for Netflix Receiver.
I haven't seen the trailer, no, but I've heard very good things about it.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and there's plenty of other things. I even sat down a few weeks ago to watch the Jason Kelsey documentary that he did in the off season previous year, and that was fantastic. So
yeah, I watched it. That's really good.
Just any kind of documentary about the game. It's the same with English football. Just anything that documents the behind the scenes working interests.
Yeah, like the All or Nothing series that we've got on Amazon Prime. That's fantastic.
I wonder who will do that this year, because was it the Cardinals last year?
The Cardinals did it a few years ago. I think they've gone away from American football teams. I know they've done one with the All Blacks rugby team, and they've done one with Bayern Munich. They've done one with obviously with Spurs, with Arsenal. Who else have they done one with? I'm sure there was a cricket team in there as well. City. I mean, who wants to watch that garbage anyway? But yeah, they've done plenty. The Brazil national team. I fully recommend the Brazil national team one. It's top notch, and obviously it's from the Copa America where Neymar got injured, and yeah, it's a really, really good watch. So yeah, the All or Nothing series seems to be sort of diversifying away from American football, but there's some great documentaries out there. The Class of '92, 99. There's plenty other, but on the obviously the list of players and coaches expected at the Night of Legends tomorrow. I've got an updated list that Art Stapleton posted a couple of hours ago. So previously confirmed names: John Morrow, Joe Shane, Parcells, Coughlin, Dabes, LT, Strahan, Harry Carson, Cole Banks, George Martin, Phil Sims, Eli, Tiki Barber, David Tyree, Victor Cruz, and Jason Seahorn. Added to that list: Chris Snee, Justin Tuck, Otis Anderson, Mark Bavaro, Marnie Toomer, Joe Morris, Pete Gogolak, Phil McConkey, and Brian Kelly as well. So the list is growing by the day, potentially by the hour as well. So that's going to be a fantastic night, and I'm very, very jealous of the people that are going to be there. So those that are going, make sure you take plenty of pictures and some sneaky videos if you can as well, and post them up on X so we can have a watch and enjoy it with you guys. But yeah, there's the 100 sort of the Giants 100 thing has sort of kicked off quite nicely. Obviously got the in-season celebrations as well. Well, so it's in-season celebration, the kickoff celebrations as well. The Century Red uniforms coming out in week 1. When can we buy the Century Red uniforms?
It's true, isn't it? Jesus,
I
tell you
one.
what, I want one. I do want one. You know, you can keep your tan pants, but you can give me the jersey.
Yeah, nobody wants tan pants. Come on, but I want the jersey. Come on, but I think it'll be a little while yet before it's released, probably. Although saying that, they might sort of release it after tomorrow. You never know. But yeah, it's good. Obviously, week 1 against the Vikings, that we'll be wearing that, and there's a 3-day celebration leading up to week 1 as well. It starts off on the 6th of November with the 100 Seasons Fan Fest at MetLife, consisting of autograph opportunities, panel discussions, on-field celebrations, and appearances from the top 100 Giants. Now wrong with tan pants. Are you sure about that, Steve? Are you sure? Because they're not very nice. I mean, they wouldn't have. I mean, to be fair, the brown would have been not too far off the brown that it was there at the weekend. So, but I mean, they don't look too bad. Let's face it. But I wouldn't want to wear them. But yeah, there's plenty of things going on the 6th of September. Fireworks show as well. First 5,000 fans will get a commemorative 100th season flag. Expect to see some of those on eBay afterwards. If they are, you never know, I might buy one. On the 7th, the Giants Foundation will hold a 5K race and kids run as well. Both runs will have Giants legends and team representatives running with the fans. And then finally on the 8th, obviously kickoff day itself, we've got the season opener against the Vikings, where all fans, every single fan, will receive a 100th season commemorative coin. And again, I would fully expect to see some of those on eBay afterwards. And again, I might have to buy one of them. So yeah, plenty going on with the Giants 100. There's going to be plenty more going on as well. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the preseason Hard Knocks, because I mean we've spoken about on this pod before the Giants live videos that have previously been released on YouTube, and how it's never enough. So now we're getting a whole Hard Knock series. We're still going to be like, it's still not enough. We want more. We want more. We always want more. So we've got a bit more this year, and it's going to be good to see.
So just while we're kind of on the week 1 thing, and I'm going to go rogue again here. But we're currently waiting for news from the Full 10 Yards guys about their kickoff weekend stuff. So we will probably be attending that and having a de facto kind of meetup with the Full 10 Yards guys and as many of you guys that want to come. And it will be in Birmingham as well. So do expect, Big Blue UK and Ireland meetup of some kind in Birmingham week 1 to watch that game. And it would be great to get as many people as possible there, just to show the Full 10 Yards guys, what we're about. We've been part of their kind of umbrella for the last 2 seasons. And, we've gone from strength to strength in those 2 seasons. So it'd be really good to kind of show them just how many of us there are.
Exactly that. And hopefully we will be able to have our Century Red uniforms by then, or jerseys by then. So then we'll be able to wear them for week 1.
Please, because I have had to retire my Leo Williams, previous
the legacy
jersey from there. I mean, it might have to be the Brian Burns sitting behind me, if not. So,
yeah, I mean,
with that lovely 0 number.
Not a number. Not a number. But yeah, Birmingham week 1 is going to happen, lads and lasses. Details to follow. But we're 99.9% sure that we will be in England's second city on the 8th of September. So come and join us if you fancy a night out in Birmingham with us and with hopefully plenty of other Giants fans as well, to watch the week 1 victory over the Vikings. So be good to have as many people there as possible. Talking of new uniforms, familiar faces in a new uniform, Craig.
Yep. So Sterling Shepard, who looked like he might retire after 2023 season, now has a new team as he has officially signed a 1-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He signed that deal on June the 6th. This move reunites Shep with his former Oklahoma teammate Baker Mayfield, who he played with in the 2015 season, which is the season before Shep declared for the draft. When asked about the move by the New York Post, Shepard said, "It's a new scene. I can't say I wanted to experience that. I always wanted to be a Giant, but I'm not mad at it. It's really a good situation." It's going to be a strange one seeing Shep in another team's uniform. Strangely enough, he actually contributed quite well every time that he was on the field for us last season. So always a shame to see him sort of go. And it by all accounts, it kind of sounds like Shep was pretty much confirmed that he was going to be retiring, and he got a text off of Baker saying, "Hey, you still in shape?" And before he knew it, the agent and the team were talking, and he's now a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, which is going to take some getting used to. Obviously, if he does make the roster, I haven't looked at the contract numbers, but I imagine it's probably a vet minimum deal, which is no guarantee.
No, exactly. And I mean, yeah, it will be very strange seeing Shep in another jersey, in other colours. Being a career-long Giant, it will be strange. But if you get the offer for a job for a year to make, I don't know, what is it, best part of $1 million? I mean, you're not going to turn it down, are you? Really?
Mm.
I'm sure he would have had other opportunities if he did retire, but at the end of the day, if he still loves the game and he can still play and make a difference, then I don't blame him for going to Tampa Bay. But it is going to be a strange one for sure. We wish him all the best. We wish hopefully he doesn't have too much success in Tampa Bay. But at the same time, we hope he has a good season and it's worthwhile him going there. And we hope he has we hope he makes the roster at least, because that's not even guaranteed, So yeah, good luck to him. What else have we got? Pre-season. So the schedule has been set for pre-season. With fast approaching, we are the middle of June, nearly towards the end of June. So training camp and pre-season are going to be around the corner before we know it. The Giants will play their pre-season opponents, the Lions, Texans, and the Jets. Firstly, they'll host the Lions on the 8th of August at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is midnight here in the UK, before travelling to Houston to take on the Texans on Saturday the 17th, with that game kicking off at 1 p.m. Eastern, which is 6 p.m. here in the UK. And then finally, the MetLife Bowl, the yearly MetLife Bowl that takes place, will happen on the 24th, which is also Saturday at 7:30 Eastern, which is midnight here on our shores, with the Giants technically being the road team. So expect them to be playing in white. Remember, obviously, pre-season is there to help shape the depth of the roster. So they may seem like tough opponents, which on paper, potentially, yes. But the likelihood of starters playing any or very, very, the likelihood of starters having much in the way of playing time is very minimal. They might get a series, might get a couple of series, and then it's over to the backups and third stringers to prove themselves and earn themselves a roster spot. So, it's not necessarily about winning the game. It's about the scheme. It's about whether players fit within the scheme and who stands out and who earns himself a spot on the roster. So, looking forward to those preseason games. It's always good to see the rookies, especially the sort of later round rookies as well, to see what they can do and what they can offer to the team. So, yeah, those three games. Houston Texans obviously coming off a strong season. The Detroit Lions also coming off a very strong season, and the Jets. Well, the Jets are the Jets.
They don't even have a star quarterback at the moment. He's gone on another darkness retreat or whatever he does.
Oh, has he? He's got darkness retreat, wellness retreat. Go and sit in a cabin in the woods for 3 months. Whatever he does, who knows? But yeah, it's gonna be a good preseason, hopefully. But yeah, I mean, next up we got some news that we were all kind of hoping for.
Yeah, the saga is over.
The saga.
The saga. Yeah. After months of speculation, Darren Waller has revealed his future plans by announcing his intention to retire after 9 years in the league. The 31-year-old, Dan.
I mean, it's disgraceful, isn't it?
Hmm.
31 and he's retiring. Fucking hell.
No, we got another 30 odd years, mate.
Yeah,
Who the Giants acquired in a trade last offseason for a third-round pick stated that his passion has been slowly fading and he was retiring due to a combination of health and personal reasons. After starting his career in Baltimore, Waller moved to the Raiders in 2018, where he played his best football, earning him a Pro Bowl nod in 2020. Remaining 2 years in Las Vegas would see the start of the hamstring issues appear, and a move to the Giants was seen as a fresh start. In 12 games last season, he had 52 catches for 552 yards and a solitary touchdown. His retirement frees up around $11.6 million in cap space for the Giants and will cost them $2.5 million in dead cap space this season and $4.9 million dead cap space next season. It will be interesting to hear from the people in the comments the thoughts about Waller's retirement.
I think it's really been a couple.
Yeah, I mean, well, Keith, no loss, really underwhelming. Kieran never looked interested in playing. Good riddance. Keith, hello, Keith. Waller retires. Oh dear, how sad. Never mind. I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that he didn't set the world alight last year. He came in, looked amazing in preseason, not in preseason, but in like the training camp that surrounds preseason. And then as soon as we got to the season, it just all fell to pieces. He didn't. It's weird. You look and you think 52 catches is quite a lot in a season, especially if you've only played like 12 games. You know, you're averaging sort of 8 catches a game, 552 yards. The one touchdown for a red zone threat like Darren Waller just proves what happened.
Yeah. I mean, if from what he said, is what was it? He'd combination of health and personal reasons. His passion's been slowly fading for the game. It's almost like, why the fuck didn't you retire last year?
It's not just that. Why is it taking you so long?
Exactly.
We're advocates on this channel for mental health and everything like that. And if he's dealing with stuff, that's perfectly fine. Like,
sure, absolutely.
But it's kind of been clear that his head hasn't been in the game, and the fact that he released that music video a few weeks back, and everything that's gone on in his personal life since the end of last season. It's not like any of us were surprised by the news. It's not like it came out of nowhere. Like, the writing's been on the wall for a while. It just seems to have dragged on and on and on. And now it's done. Exactly. And now we can actually use that money to sign players who are, wanting to play.
Exactly. To carry on.
I was just going to say, just one other thing, just while we're talking about like Waller. Obviously, our tight end room now is Bellinger, Manhurts, Stoll, Cager, and Theo Johnson. Sorry, the rookie. Yeah. Did you see the tweet from Connor Hughes, I think it is, about Bellinger being a surprise cut from the team? Like, I don't really. I'd be interested to hear what people's views are on that. That Bellinger's a potential cut candidate. I mean, what?
I mean, yeah, let's just cut our number one tight ends. Because why not?
Yeah, it's just
Muppet, absolutely Muppet. But I mean, I get, obviously he's been through a lot in his personal life recently over the last sort of year or so. But at the same time, if you've been falling out of love with the game for a while now, which it was kind of, you could kind of see it. It's almost a case of, why didn't you just go, you know what? Thanks for the offer, but no thanks. I'm going to retire now. See you later. Rather than cost us however much it did last year. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. And now obviously costing us another almost $7.5 million in dead money over the next 2 years.
They restructured his deal last year as well, didn't they? So
yeah, it is annoying, but at the same time, I'm in no way surprised that he's decided to hang up his boots and pursue a music career, because he wasn't necessarily producing on the football field anymore, and he obviously feels like he can produce as a music creator. And if you haven't watched his music video, feel free to get on YouTube or any other social media channel and give it a watch, and be prepared to laugh.
So Darren said and I'm assuming he's referring to the Bellinger thing, so I'll just flesh that out a little bit.
Daniel Bellinger tweet,
so Connor Hughes from, is it SYTV, I think he is, or SYT or something like that.
I think
SNY.
SNY
sounds about right. So Connor Hughes from SNY who obviously covers the Jets and the Giants, was he put a tweet out saying that he was going to do a Q&A about either team, and people could tweet him. Someone tweeted saying, who is a person on the roster that you think is at risk of not making the final 53, that maybe all the fans are pretty nailed on that they're definitely going to be on there? And admittedly, Connor said nothing else apart from Daniel Bellinger, which makes no sense. I mean, the comments immediately were that, why would we get rid of a tight end on a rookie contract who is in his third year? We're at a position where we're already tight. Bellinger was, a revelation in his first year for the Giants. I'm not saying he was a revelation in the league, but for the Giants, he was a big part of that offense until that eye injury against the Jags. Now, might have had a slightly smaller role, but I think he'll be a really, really good sort of, accoutrement, shall we say, to Theo Johnson, who, let's be honest, it looks like Theo Johnson will probably end up being the number one tight end. And I know that as a prospect and a projection prospect, that's probably not ideal, but it's I can't see you getting rid of Bellinger. I mean, someone even turned around and said, worst case scenario, use him as an H-back or as a halfback.
Fullback,
fullback. So, I just don't see it. I really don't see it. Steve's also put his hat in the ring here and said, if Bellinger gets cut, he'll streak around the Munich Olympia Stadion. So he's pretty confident that there is not a chance it happens.
Oh.
Steve, you are
we'll hold you to that, mate.
So
we will hold you to that if that happens. I mean, it's Munich. It's in Germany. Germany's a bit different, so I'm sure they wouldn't mind. I was going to call you middle-aged then, but you're probably not middle-aged. A young man, running around the Olympic Stadium in Munich, absolutely stark bollock naked. So I'm sure they wouldn't mind that. But yeah, the question was, it's from the Big Blue and the Bronx guys. Who do you think isn't a sure thing to make the Giants roster? And he just went down. He's Daniel Bellinger. I hope you haven't cancelled your flight, Holty. That's a bit extreme. Let's face it, it's not going to happen. The likelihood of Bellinger being cut is, it's not going to happen. No. He's got too much to offer. And like I said, why would you cut him in his third year of his rookie deal? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But then if that's what Connor Hughes of SNY decides who is potentially at risk, then that's his opinion, and he's entitled to his opinion. But like I said, it ain't going to happen. Talking of other players that we've signed in place of Darren Waller, that was his name. I'm starting to think of his name then. There's a couple of new players. There's a couple of new players in blue. On the 11th of June, so that was 8 days ago now. So last Tuesday, Art Stapleton revealed that the Giants were trying out a few different players. Trey Herndon, a third cornerback, tight end Noah Togiai. I'm destroying that name. I'm really sorry. Tight end Joel Quavius Spivey. Go on, lad. And offensive lineman Kellen Deesh as well. Deesh? Don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? And UFL running back Jacob Saylors was also in town for a visit. Did you watch any of the UFL, Craig?
I didn't even know you could watch it in this country. I'm going to be honest.
I believe it's on. It was on Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
No, I did not.
Any viewers? Anyone watching the UFL? I think it's the Birmingham Stallions won it. I think they won the old USFL before they merged with the XFL, and it's now the UFL. Absolutely, got to love those names, Keith. But yeah, I know. I think they've won like 3 years in a row now or something. But this Jacob Saylors, he had quite a good year in the. I say a year. It was a couple of months in the UFL. And he signed with the Giants yesterday, and also Trey Herndon as well signed last Wednesday. So two new players on the roster. Herndon, 28 years old, he was undrafted out of Vanderbilt in 2018, was picked up by the Jaguars and appeared in 83 games with 34 starts, recorded 243 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 6 quarterback hits, 1 sack, 32 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. Now, for an undrafted rookie or undrafted free agent, that's some pretty good numbers. In 2023, he had an overall 70.8 PFF grade and 73.1 in coverage. Over the moon with this signing, I've got to tell you. Some much needed help and depth in that defensive secondary. Trey Herndon, what do you reckon of that, Craig? Good pickup?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked a lot into it, but to be not only an undrafted rookie free agent that gets picked up by a team, but to then stay with that team as long as he has, and he hasn't bounced around like a lot of these undrafted rookie free agents do. He's been there for a while, and you're right. 70.8 overall PFF grade, 73.1 coverage grade. They are not elite numbers, but what they are good enough numbers, and that's what we need. We're rebuilding a roster 100%. At the moment. We'll come on to some positional rankings later, and I know full well that the cornerback one is not pretty, so we need all the help we can get. It's still a young room. You've got Flott, who's in his 3rd year, but as we've mentioned a few weeks ago, is younger than most of our rookies. We've got Banks there, who's only in his 2nd year.
He's like 21.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Dre Phillips, who is obviously a rookie. Outside of that, you've got McLeod. McLeod's only been in the league a few years himself. He's not old, so chances are Herndon will end up being one of the most experienced. Yeah, one of the most experienced players in that room, along with David Long, probably who's probably the most experienced. So it's like you said, well needed depth. I haven't really looked into his play or anything as of yet, but when we get to our state of play cornerbacks, we'll have a lot more information on him, and we'll have a much more concerted guess as to where he will be. The only thing is that obviously he's taken the Darren Waller spot, shall we say, but also I did notice as part of the Darren Waller news that Gary Brightwell has been officially released from IR with an injury settlement. He is no longer with the team as well. The end of our mate Gary.
Sad times. Good luck, our mate Gary. I'm sure you'll go on to great things. And if you don't, you're always welcome on this podcast. I've not looked into Trey Herndon too much, but the fact he's been with the Jags for 6 years as an undrafted rookie, it goes. He obviously has done enough to impress them over the last 6 years, and those numbers speak for themselves. They're not elite, then by any stretch of the imagination, but they are solid. And we need those, like I said, those solid players that can come in and do their job. We don't need to have the best quarterback in the league. We don't need to have the best defensive backfield in the league. But having those solid guys at corner is definitely what we need. And he could potentially be one of them. Saylors, I know absolutely nothing about. He joined the Bengals last year as an undrafted free agent. However, he spent most of the season on the Falcons practice squad before he was waived due to injury in January. And then he signed for the UFL team St. Louis Battlehawks, which is a cool name. And during the 9 games he played, he ran for 461 yards, which was second most in the league, averaging 4.9 yards per carry, and scored 5 touchdowns. And he also had 23 receptions for 152 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. So, all in all, not a bad showing in the UFL. Granted, it is the UFL. It's obviously, let's call it, I don't know, let's call it the championship in comparison, the League One in comparison, maybe, in comparison to the NFL. But he's obviously done a job there for the Battlehawks, and he's obviously impressed the Giants front office enough that they've gone, actually, you know what, let's pick this guy up and let's sign him. So again, it's adding more depth to that running back room that we do need. So looking forward to seeing him in camp, that's for sure. What do you reckon of him?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this is kind of like a reactionary move by the Giants because of what's happened to Brightwell, knowing that we probably need another back in there just to kind of round out the camp numbers. In essence, he's probably going to be at the bottom of that depth chart. You've got Miller in there, Corbin, Tracy Jr., Singletary, and Eric Gray. So, he's probably got an uphill battle to do anything there.
Yeah, massively.
But camp bodies are what you need. And at the end of the day, he could shine for us, end up on the practice squad, and then get an opportunity later or be signed by another team. So, I've got to say, I commend the effort of going. It must be difficult to not be drafted, be signed as an undrafted rookie free agent, stay on a practice squad. You're keeping yourself fit. You're essentially prepping other players for every week, aren't you? That's what the practice squad team does. So to turn around, get released from that team and go, you know what, I'm going to take a punt on myself. I'm not going to, wallow in my own pity. I'm going to go across to the UFL and I'm going to show what I can do. And it's worked for him. And, fair play. He'll probably get a little cheeky signing bonus. He won't have any guaranteed money with the Giants. But if he sticks, it was a worthy sacrifice at the end of the day.
Exactly that. This opportunity he's got in camp for the Giants might lead to him getting a job on another roster somewhere, or a spot on a roster somewhere, or even a spot on a practice squad somewhere, whether it's with the Giants or with another team. And that then brings him in an income for the year. Obviously, he's been paid to play in the UFL, and he's obviously done well there. So he's not doing too badly for himself. And he must if you're at that sort of position where you're sort of jumping around from one team, getting cut by that team, jumping on a practice squad, being cut by that team, then going into a completely different league, you must really have a love of the game to want to play that, and want to play at any level. You must really, really love the game, because obviously it is a business. It's all about the dollar at the end of the day, but they must really love the game because they're going to be earning the minimum, no doubt, that they can do. And I say the minimum, it's still a big chunk of money, let's face it. But yeah, he must really love the game to be jumping around from team to team and league to league as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him during camp. I'm looking forward to seeing him in preseason. You never know, he might only get to play in one preseason game. He might be part of the first round of cuts. But it'll be good to see what he can do. What else we got? Dabes, he's not revealing much, is he, in terms of play calling?
No, so after last season's fiasco with is Dabes calling plays, is he not calling plays? It looked like it would be kind of a little bit clearer this year with Dabes being in the quarterback's ears throughout sort of mandatory minicamp and the OTAs and all of that. But I don't know if Dave's taking the reins is as clear cut as it kind of looked to begin with. And Kafka and Dave's are very much keeping their cards close to their chest at the moment. At the beginning of Minicamp, Kafka in his sort of presser was asked what the crack was, what was going on. And he said, I think Dave's hasn't really actually made a final call on that yet. We're going through the spring right now. It's too early to tell. And whatever decision he goes with, I fully support. So Dable was then asked about Kafka's comments, saying that Kafka was a good teammate, which is an interesting way of putting it. But did say that he provided a lot of the value and a lot of good insight that he really needed. And then continued by saying, it's been a really good collaborative process of ideas. It's a good time now to go ahead and look at things and see how people do. So it's weird. It kind of beats around the bush without either person really giving away much. But that, I don't know, Dave's comments just kind of struck me as being not dismissive, but kind of not really, not biting at anything kind of thing. Just kind of saying, well, he's a good teammate and he said this and we are collaborating and stuff like that. And it does seem that Kafka's kind of almost resigned to accepting his fate, and the fact that he did say, whatever he goes with, I fully support, is kind of his way of going, yeah, I'm not doing the play calling. But neither of them are really giving it anything solid. That's the issue, isn't it? It's all very cryptic, and I think the problem is I just hope that the message inside the building is a lot more direct than what they're feeding to us.
Yeah, I mean, it always comes across as if like it's not a huge deal for them. I think they both trust in each other to make the right decisions in terms of, if it is Kafka calling plays, Dave's trusts Kafka. If it's Dave calling the plays, Kafka trusts him to make the right calls. Even if it does turn out to be a combination of the two, is that such a bad thing? Well, no, not really. Obviously, traditionally, you have one offensive play caller, one defensive play caller, but when you've got two potentially brilliant offensive minds, Kafka is a head coach in waiting essentially. So to have two, really sort of top end coaches that could potentially call plays for your offense, why would you not? Why would you not utilize both of them and draw to sort of bring together both of their strengths? So that I don't read too much into that in terms of they haven't made a decision yet, which fair enough, they haven't made a decision. They might have made a decision between themselves, but they're not gonna reveal that until they really, really have to. At the same time, I think, exactly like you said, Kieran, just as long as they call more good than bad, we'll be fine. And I'm sure between the two of them, they're more than capable of calling good plays. It doesn't necessarily come down to the play calling itself. It comes down to the execution of the plays as well. Remember that. If players aren't executing the plays where they should be, or do their job when they need to be, then it's not necessarily down to the play call itself. Granted, there's times where plays have been called and you think, what the actual is he doing? Like, why are you calling that play when you can clearly see the defense is lined up in this scheme? Or understandable. But at the same time, it's like, well, it's not always on the coaches. It is on the players a lot of the time as well. It's on the execution of each play, and you got to remember there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plays in the offensive playbook, and if you've got, like we seemed to have last year, a bit of a revolving door in terms of different positions. On the offensive line, how many different offensive linemen did we have play last year? Justin Pugh, straight off the couch, comes in within a week. He's in the starting lineup. And it's almost like, he's only going to have learned like the base plays. Like, obviously he's going to know some. He's played football for a long time. He's going to have a relatively sort of good understanding of a playbook. But at the same time, there's going to be some real sort of like really sort of deep plays that he's not necessarily going to be completely familiar with until they do the run throughs in practice. They do and go through game plans and things like that. And the players on the roster make a huge difference in terms of whether the plays actually succeed or not. And if you're we all know for the offensive line last year was atrocious. If your offensive line isn't performing, then your quarterback's not going to be able to execute that play that's been called into his ear because he's under pressure. Just like your running back's not going to be able to execute that run because the gap isn't there that's not been created by the offensive line. Just like if your receiver is running the route slightly differently, and your quarterback's under pressure and you can't see that. Yeah, there's so many variables to play calling and that playbook. It's almost like it doesn't really matter who calls those plays, because I'm sure if Kafka called a play and Dave's thought, what the fucking hell are you doing? How can you not see that defense are in this scheme, running this scheme? If defense are in cover 2, how can you not see they're in cover? Why are you calling that play? I'm sure he's going to veto that and call something else if he really believes it's not going to work. So I don't know. With the play calling, I'm not surprised that we don't know, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if it is a combination of the two. They're two great offensive minds at the end of the day. So it's not the end of the world that we don't have a specific play caller at this moment in time, I don't think.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, the play calling hasn't been good for years. Outside of the 2022-2023 season, that was the only time that we kind of schemed it to the right level. I think there's so much that went on last season. It is very easy to give them a pass, but there have been a lot of play calls that just don't make any sense. And I think that's why Dable kind of slyly did take it over in a sense, because you got to bear in mind they're only allowed to be in the quarterback's ear for so long, and then it's switched off. So
exactly,
it's very difficult for maybe Dabes to veto stuff that Kafka was calling. But that it wasn't just him and Kafka that had dysfunction last year. There's a reason that we don't have 2 other coordinators, and we have 2 brand new coordinators this year.
Yep.
It was a fragmented season, and I just want them to get it figured out early. I don't want it to be, just before the bye week where we were at the Patriots game and we were wondering who the hell's playing calls or calling plays. Sorry,
calling plays. Yeah.
Calling plays. So, I just don't want to do that anymore. And Darren's right. You can't do it by committee during the game. Other decisions need to be made outside the game. The one thing I would like to see is, regardless of whether it's Kafka calling plays or whether it's Dave's calling plays, is can we please have Mike Kafka on the sidelines? Because I just feel like it's easier to communicate with each other. There's a lot to be said for face-to-face interaction, being able to read each other's faces, as opposed to Kafka, who, as we well know, was up in the press box, essentially, wasn't he, for the entirety of that Patriots game? But we saw him walk past twice. So I think
that's the thing. Like he is. I get why coaches sit in the booth, because they can see the entire field. They can see the plays develop. It's fine. I understand that, but at the same time, are you really getting a true feel for the game if you're not on the sideline in amongst your players?
Yeah.
There's only so much you can get through a headset, or over a phone or whatever it is they use. There's only so much you can get from that. Surely, if it's not working, go to the sideline and see what from a different angle and different perspective.
Yeah, I've got no issue with the assistants being up in the press box and relaying information through, because that's what they're there for. That's why they're an assistant.
Exactly.
I've got no issue with them going, hey, just for example's sake, Trayvon Diggs has bitten on that route 3 times now, and we haven't thrown the ball over there. Why don't we take advantage of that? That's the kind of stuff I expect from someone sitting up there. What I don't expect is somebody to try and call plays up there, because you don't hear the chirpiness. You don't hear the chipping between plays. You don't hear how does he know that Wan'Dale Robinson hasn't got under someone's skin and he's going to bite at something? That's the kind of thing that annoys me.
Yeah, true. I mean, like going back to the point you made, Darren, I'm not saying both coaches are going to be calling plays on the sideline during a game because that's ridiculous and that probably never happened. But I'm saying what my point is, why don't they both sort of collaborate on game? Obviously, they both collaborate on a game plan. And if it comes to week, even a sort of a week by week call, like okay, you're going to call plays this week, I'm going to call plays next week, sort of thing. Do it, and if there's got to be ways around because the Kafka play calling last season obviously didn't work for whatever reason. And I said whether it was a play calls, whether it was execution, whether it's a mixture of the two, it hasn't worked. So I think. Yeah, there's a lot that needs to be done and a lot that can be done about it. But for me at the moment, it's not too concerning that they haven't agreed on who's going to call the plays. And like I said, they might have agreed between the two of them, and not made it public knowledge, which they're well within their rights to not make it public knowledge because that means that they're not putting pressure on one or the other. At the end of the day, they're thinking, right, we'll announce it when we need to announce it, and until then, it'll just be a case of who's doing what. So, yeah, I think we'll see what happens with the play calling. Put it that way. What have we got up next? Oh, let's talk about the Eagles because that's what we love doing is talking about the Eagles on this podcast. So back in March, Penn State coach James Franklin insinuated that Eagles general manager and total bellend Howie Roseman had pitched to Saquon Barkley, aka Judas, the connection between Penn State and Philly during the legal tampering period. Now, this would violate the NFL protocol that states team officials can only talk to agents and not directly to players, which is, a pretty clear potential violation of that protocol. Well, 3 months of investigation. Boo, Eagles indeed, Keith. 3 months of investigation, and we finally have an outcome. So on Thursday, the league revealed that after a thorough review that included looking at phone logs, text messages, and other documents, they didn't uncover sufficient evidence to confirm that the policy was violated. And as such, the Eagles would not receive any punishment. Now, one of two things has happened here. Either Penn State coach James Franklin has lied, which which could happen, which could be the case, or the messages have been deleted. Which, let's face it, that can also happen. Because are the NFL really going to go and seize phones and get sort of like IT forensics to hack into the phone to find all the deleted messages? Are they really going to do that? No, they're probably not going to, because that's going to cost a fortune. So, as with all NFL reviews, if new evidence was to come to light, they would likely reopen the investigation. But unfortunately for now, that is that. As usual, the Eagles get away with blatantly breaking the rules. It's like City with their 115 charges, isn't it? It's like blatantly breaking the rules, but chances are they're going to get away with it because they're the Eagles or they're City. Yeah, there we go. What do you make of it, Craig?
There's not really a lot to add, is there? At the end of the day, the NFL have made a decision, and no matter what we say, it doesn't really change that fact. James Franklin could have misinterpreted what was being said. It could have been said to his agent and relayed through to Saquon, and they misinterpreted what was there. I'm sure the NFL have looked into it. At the end of the day, they find the at the end of the day, does it actually really make that much difference in the terms of what they were going to get? If you look at what happened with Kirk Cousins and where's he gone?
Atlanta.
Thank you. If you look at that, they were fined like pocket change for their owner, and their slap on the wrist was, "Oh, you can't have that 6th round pick. Who cares?" Like what you getting out of a 6th round pick? How often
Yeah,
do you smash a 6th round pick?
Yeah, I mean, if it was a case of you could potentially lose a 1st round pick, then oh damn, that's not good. But a 6th round pick, it's like,
Doesn't really
it's a
matter.
6th round pick.
It's Giants news in a way because we were the ones who were potentially wronged. But yeah, it is what it is, isn't it?
So Judas was tapped up, but he wasn't tapped up, and he's now moved.
The fact that they call it a legal tampering period anyway makes it sound sordid.
I know, right? It's it's a legal tampering period. It's you're not meant to do it, but it's legal, so we'll allow it. Evening, Becca. Thanks for joining. Let us know what you think of everything that's happened in the last couple of weeks. We've gone through Giants 100 stuff. We've gone through the new signings, Trey Herndon and Jacob Saylors, and also the fact that the Eagles apparently haven't broken the rules. But that's down to the NFL to decide that. But yeah, it's not really Giants news, but it is because Judas was ours and is now with the Eagles. So there we go. Minicamp as well. When Minicamps happened, what's happened at Minicamp, Craig?
Yes, yeah, it just seems to
so
never
much
end,
has happened.
So much has happened. Last week saw the Giants host their minicamp, which is not only the last chance for the coaches and players to get together and install scheme, but also the last time that the media get access to both prior to training camp, which kicks off on July 23rd, as it was announced today. Now, here are a few bits of info. Daniel Jones. We will never stop talking about Daniel Jones until he is not a player. Now, he was kept out of 11-on-11 drills by Dable, a move that it didn't sound like Jones was particularly thrilled with, but did say that he understood. During other drills and sort of, individual team drills, he did seem to be moving well, and he has upgraded or downgraded, whichever way you want to look at it. And is no longer wearing the brace on his knee. He now just has a sleeve down there. So hopefully that is a sign of progression. I can kind of understand Dable's point on this. At the end of the day, it's just minicamp. It's 3 days or 2.5 if you include the fact that the second half of the third day was a barbecue hosted on the field. So, I don't really think that Jones would have
missed out on much.
Yeah, he wouldn't have missed much, and it's not whatever he would have done wouldn't have really been representative of what we're going to get towards preseason anyway. One player who did turn heads though, Malik Neighbours, a myriad of spectacular catches and dynamic running. If anyone hasn't seen the one-handed catch that he produced during minicamp, I highly suggest going to see it. It does remind you of a certain other LSU wide receiver that the Giants might have picked up. And there was an awesome little Spider-Man meme of him, Hyatt, and Wandale Robinson. I'm not sure if that was intentional, but it was funny as hell. Bobby Okereke was asked about Neighbours during some of his sort of media scrums, and he said that Neighbours could not only be a very special player for the Giants, but also a very special player in the NFL. It would not be Giants news without us talking about injuries. And on the injury front, there were a few players that left with issues on day one. Slayton, Ford Wheaton, and Cota all sustained injuries. Slayton's was nothing of note. Ford Wheaton strained his shoulder, but the worst of the lot was Chase Cota, who has broken his collarbone, and as a result has moved to IR in the move that saw the Giants officially sign Saylors. So chances are that could be the end of the road for Chase Cota, who, unless they're going to reactivate him off IR and cut somebody else, will likely be paid off with an injury designation and released from the team. And then finally, the Giants have been focusing on educating their players about the new kickoff rule, despite special teams coordinator Michael Gabriel admitting that he's not really 100% certain how the changes will impact returns. Due to this, the team have been experimenting with multiple kickoff or kickers, should we say, taking the kickoffs. They've been experimenting with different returners, and they've actually even tried with the use of 2 returners at the same time, which is what I think a lot of the teams in the UFL did as well, just because it adds a slightly different style of
Who's it going to?
dynamism.
Who's it going to?
Yeah, exactly. So that's good. I did also read a quote from Gabriel basically saying that, Gano has a strong and accurate leg, but the fact that you're now penalised for touchbacks might mean that they end up not using him as much. And our Irish kicker, McTominay,
yeah.
Yeah, he was obviously a specialist kickoff kicker for Rutgers in college. He didn't take any field goals in 2023, so that's potentially a spot for him, though he can only be promoted from the practice squad 3 times, and we're not going to have 2 kickers on the standard 53. So could we see Jamie Gillan maybe taking some kickoffs? Could we have a curveball and have another player doing it just because they know he kicks it short? I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Potentially. Yeah, potentially. Obviously, with the change to the kickoff rules, obviously it's going to be a lot for the special teams guys to get used to and to learn. But let's just hope they do learn and understand it, and it'd be nice to see them mix it up. And like I said, use some different players for kickoffs. Obviously, Gano's. We all know Gano's got a big leg and can absolutely boot it like through the end zone. But now that touchbacks, aren't really a thing anymore, it's almost like
it's penalised, isn't it? Really,
exactly. So it's like we need to look at accuracy rather than power. We need to get the ball sort of inside the 5. Which is more suited towards like a punter, because punters obviously are looking more for accuracy than anything else. And with the whole DJ thing not being involved on the 11 on 11s, I'm not surprised in the slightest. He might not be happy about it, but at the end of the day, he's coming off an ACL. It's only June. He injured it in November, so we were only 8 months removed from him actually tearing his ACL. So he's obviously still not fully recovered. He may feel like he's fully recovered, but imagine Dave's going, you know what, actually, 11 on 11s, here we go. Daniel, get in there, show us what you can do, and drop back. Oh dear, ACL goes again. Or, oh dear, another injury, because he was worried about putting too much weight on his leg, so he's rolled his ankle or something, and then I mean it's game over for the beginning of the season, isn't it? So just protect him at all costs, I think, and even during training camp, it would be a case of wrap him up in cotton wool, bubble wrap, and just make sure that nothing else happens to him, because he is going to be our number 1 quarterback going into the season. So I'm not surprised by that in the slightest. But that Malik Neighbours catch, filth. Filth. Watch it if you've seen it.
I do like the fact that Jones is maybe annoyed, though. I think that shows that he does have a competitive streak in him, and maybe it's slightly bit more than what we've seen in the past from him. The one thing that we've always said he's been lacking is a little bit of, not passion, because he clearly has that, but just a little bit of emotion and a little bit of a tell. Like, he's very closed off. Eli was very closed off, but there were times where Eli had to show it. But with Jones, that might be the way that he needs to really sort of win the fan base over, is by showing, not that he cares, but showing that he's willing to do whatever it takes to change perception.
Yeah, no, I like that he was annoyed, because he obviously feels like he's at the point where he can contribute, and Dave's is just going, whoa, easy, boy, easy, calm down. Your time will come. Just chill. We want to protect you at all costs. So I like that as well. It's nice to see a bit of passion, a bit of anger that you can't get involved. All right, lastly then, ESPN's Mike Clay released his list of all the positional rankings in the NFL, and it's safe to say he clearly isn't impressed with any of the Giants units, because some of them are downright Embarrassing. A quick rundown of the position of each of our units. So quarterbacks, he's graded us at the 31st best, second worst, which half full, half empty.
He's ranked us 31st.
31st out of 32 teams in terms of our quarterbacks. He's ranked us 27th in terms of running backs, 23rd wide receivers, 30th for tight ends with before Darren Waller retired, it was 16th. So we've dropped 14 spaces after losing Darren Waller. Offensive line, 27th. Interior D-line, 24th. Edge rusher, this is where we sort of start to make our way up the table a little bit. Edge rushers are our best unit on the team, apparently, according to Mike Clay is his name? Yeah, Mike Clay. According to Mike Clay, our edge rushers are our best unit, ranking 15th, which is just inside the top half. Linebackers 18th, not bad. And then we drop right back down again with our defensive secondary, cornerback and safeties, both ranked 32nd, dead last in the league. Interesting. Which of those positional rankings is most shocking to you, Greg?
I'll go through a couple. The most shocking to me is interior defensive line at 24th. I think if there was a certain player still playing in the league called Aaron Donald, he alone would make them a top 10 interior D line. Interesting enough, we've got the rankings here, and the Rams are now 26th, so 2 below the Giants, who are at 24. I just feel like 24th on the interior D line is just a bit harsh. You've got Dex, who is a game wrecker. Nunez Rochez, who is okay. Obviously, we didn't see enough of him really last season. We had Leonard Williams ahead of him, and then when Williams left for Seattle, his name escapes me. Ashawn Robinson jumped into that spot. So, yeah, he is. Nacho is experienced, but maybe unproven. But Jordan Phillips, DJ Davison, Jordan Riley, you've got a core there of a few sort of youngsters. I don't know. It just feels a bit harsh to me. I think interior D line should definitely be above 20 at least.
Yeah, and I mean, let's put this into perspective a little bit. So, PFF released earlier the only defenders with a 90+ PFF grade in both of the past 2 seasons. There are 7 players on that list: Nick Bosa, Max Crosby, Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett, Quinnen Williams, Aaron Donald, and Dexter freaking Lawrence. Now, if that's not saying that Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defensive players in the league, and he's in a unit that's graded 24th, that's an absolute joke. It's a joke of a grading.
I think that my biggest problem with a lot of these rankings, especially when you look at like quarterback, we went through a few weeks ago when we were discussing this. So we've already said, is Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tommy DeVito worse than Bo Nix, Jared Stidham, and Zach Wilson? Probably not. But we won't get into that. I think a lot of it comes down to inexperience, and that's why we're so low. Running back 27th. Yes, you've got Devin Singletary, but then you've got Tyrone Tracy and Dante Miller, who are rookies de facto rookies.
And then Eric Gray, obviously.
And then Eric Gray, who's a sophomore player. So I get that. And it's the same with safety and cornerback. I think the way that he's done this is basically gone there unproven, so I don't have enough information on them, so I'm going to put them dead last. Pinnock had a breakout season last year, but that was his only time of doing that. Nubin is a rookie. Dane Belton has barely played. Jalen Mills is aging. And Elijah Riley, I'm going to be honest, I've forgotten who that is.
It's Elijah Riley.
Cornerback, we said earlier, Dante Banks, Flott, McLeod, Trey Hawkins, and Andrew Phillips is who they had here, because I think these were done before we had Trey Herndon.
Yeah.
Herndon, so I say. So
Herndon, yeah.
again, it's unproven. I think that's the problem with trying to rank these before a season is the fact that there's so much difference. Offensive line is ranked 27th, yet we signed Illuminor and we signed Runyon, both moves that were widely praised by a lot of people. So it's really difficult for you to turn around and say they're crap because, let's be honest, these rankings are about as useful as saying in English football terms, oh, that's a tough game in April. You have no idea. You have no idea. The difference between the rankings now and the rankings by week 3 will be night and day because some people are going to get injured. Some people are going to play above what their grade is, essentially. And some people will have shockers. And at the end of the day, it's a clickbait exercise, I think is the best way to put it. But
yeah,
it's a talking point, isn't it?
It is. And I mean, let's face it, that defensive line as well, without Dexter Lawrence, obviously, yes, it looks relatively weak. But you've got Nacho, who is not a bad player. He didn't have a great season last year, but he's not a bad player. He played well for Tampa Bay before that. So it's almost like it's just a bit of a slap around the face, really, isn't it? And the whole offensive line thing, to be 27th, I mean, we've got one of the best left tackles in the league in Andrew Thomas, and to grade us 27th with 3. I mean, let's not include Evan Neal in this just yet, but Illuminor, JMS, and John Runyon, that's a pretty good interior offensive line right there. I mean, JMS, granted, he's going into a second year. He's still potentially quite green, but we've got John Runyon and Jermaine Illuminor, both real solid, experienced guards in this league, and for us to be 27th is I think it could be higher based off of their history and their sort of experience in the game. What was your other shocker going to be? Was it the offensive line?
No, it was the D line. It was the offensive line, and yeah, it was like I said, it was just the fact that it's the youth, isn't it? It's the inexperience. It's the inexperience of the players that are there. It's hard to project, isn't it? This guy's essentially trying to project. If you look at who the number one is on some of these, our number one wide receiver is Malik Neighbours. Nobody knows how he's going to do. Our number 2 tight end is Theo Johnson. Nobody knows how he's going to do. And number 2 safety, Tyler Nubin. How is he going to produce? But that's the same for all the other teams. Look at a lot of the other teams around that sort of lower level, and they're in the same group.
There's a lot of unproven talent.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the rookie quarterbacks that came out in this year's draft. JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, in that sort of bottom 5. That they are unproven. They may have done it in college, but in the NFL, it's a completely different game. So there's it's a good talking point. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't necessarily read too much into it at the moment. But it's frustrating when you see other units. I mean, I love that Ben Bredeson's gone into an offensive line that's graded 2 spots higher, even though Ben Bredeson's played like dog shit the last couple of seasons. But yeah, there we go. He's obviously got maybe he's made that unit worse. Who knows?
Yeah, and we're also probably hamstrung by the fact that we've changed a lot of coordinators as well, and that's never going to help either. You have no idea how they're going to do. We all saw.
I'd imagine there's lots of variables, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like we all saw with, and I forgot his name, but the offensive lineman who went to the Eagles and came back and was like, "Oh, the Eagles have taught me so much versus what I was learning here." I've forgotten his name.
Name escapes me.
Chat. Yeah, but
viewers, let us know who that is. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, we can prove everyone wrong, and we come out and have some better grading sort of as we get towards the season, during the season as well. I think some of them are a bit overly harsh, I think.
Yeah, we'll compare these mid-season. So
like it a lot. Yeah, and that is the news. And unfortunately, is all we have time for this evening. But we'll be back to full strength on Tuesday next week as we pick up where we left off by breaking down our tight ends, obviously now minus Darren Waller, and start off Shane's favourite unit, the offensive line, which will be a fun chat, no doubt. And Shane will love talking about the offensive line. Anything else to add before we go, mate?
no, it's just it's good to be back, albeit being a bit of a short return for me. Next week will be my last pod for a month, as I've got shoulder surgery booked in for 2 days after next week's pod. So yeah, bit sweet, a bit of a short return for me, but look forward to you guys getting into the state of play stuff. I'll be here for next week, and then I'll be gone again.
Yeah, you will be. Obviously, this long-awaited surgery that you've got coming up. It's obviously much needed, and obviously we wish you. We're obviously you're here next week, I know, but
yeah,
we wish you well, and hope your recovery goes well and everything. But yeah, it's been good to be back, and I mean, granted, obviously we've just talked about news this evening, but it's been nice coming back into sort of nice, easy hour and a quarter of just chatting Giants news. And obviously we've missed Kev and Shane this evening. Kev obviously is off at work. Hope you're enjoying the evening at work, Kev. And Shane is probably on the beers in Germany somewhere. So hope you're enjoying those beers in Germany somewhere, Shane. But yeah, it's been good to be back, and looking forward to getting into tight ends and the offensive line next week with the other boys. As I said at the top, you can check out all of our socials, including TikTok. Don't forget that TikTok page by following the links in the description, and give this episode a big thumbs up, and feel free to share it as well, because we love the interaction we get, and it helps us with analytics and everything on all our social channels. So we really do appreciate all the love that we get. Thanks to all the viewers for tuning in, and my thanks as ever go to producer Craig for joining me. To you, the viewers and listeners, we are signing off. Until next time, let's go Giants.